So here's our garden from down here. So we moved in here into this house that we're in now in November, and that's the middle of winter here, and so there was snow on the ground and everything, and there was no garden space here. So we ended up getting a sod cutter and cutting sod out and bringing in topsoil and stuff, and we had no compost or anything, so this garden has not been composted, and so it's actually doing pretty well. So the first thing I planted here were potatoes, and pretty much all but one came up. There's one little guy in here, you can see it's really little, and it did not come up, but the rest of them did, and they are starting to flower. So that guy there, and there's another one up here that's got some flowers going on it. So they're nice and big, and they're actually doing really well. I think I planted 25 plants there. So I did 2 rows of carrots, and they, as you can see, are really sparse. Not many of them came up, and so I will get a few off of this, but not a lot. So they're not doing great. We've had a lot of rain here, so this really needs to be weeded. I haven't had a chance to get in here when it's dry yet. I did 4 rows of beans. I did 2 rows of yellow beans here, and then I did 2 rows of green beans here. So as you can see, the yellow beans are not doing near as well as the green beans are. A lot of them came up later than the green beans did, and when they came up, they didn't look good coming out of the ground. And a lot of the ones that did come up are still really small here, and they're probably not going to do much. So I will get a few. There are a few plants up further here of the yellow ones, kind of in the front here, that are larger and that I will get a few off of. But these 2 rows of green beans here are doing really well. And they are starting to flower here a bit as well, as you can see. So I'm looking forward to seeing what I get off of that. I have got 3 rows of beets going here. So I've got 2 rows of just regular red beets, and then I've got 1 row of the candy cane beets. So they're the ones that are striped in the center. They're like red and white rings. And we had friends over after I planted this before they had come up, and we looked up and their little guy was in the garden here tossing soil around, and so I think he tossed out some of my beet seeds before they had come through, but that's okay. So I'll get a few out of there. They're not doing quite as well as the red beets. And then this is my first time doing peas. I have not done a garden in about 4 years. We've moved quite a bit in the last 4 years, and so we're kind of settled in here now for a few years, so I thought I would do a garden here. But I've never done peas. So I've got 2 kinds of peas. I've got regular shelling peas. I think those are the ones in the back. I can't remember which ones I planted where. I think these ones are the shelling peas, and then these ones are the sugar snap peas right here. So these 2 rows are doing okay. They did not all come up, but the ones that have are starting now to flower here. And then also here, these ones in the back, I think every single one of these pretty much came up, and they are just starting to flower. You can peek in here as well. So these ones are looking really, really good. In the back here, I have 3 tomato plants that I planted, and I need to get some fertilizers on these guys, some fertilizer, because they're not doing near as well as the ones up on the deck. So these are called Lemon Boy tomatoes, and they produce a yellow tomato. And I don't even think, oh, I do. Okay, there's a few here. I don't know if you can see, but they're just starting to bloom here. But I don't think the other 2 have any blooms on them yet. So I need to get some fertilizer on these, and hopefully they will get going here. And then the last couple things I have in the garden, I've got cucumber plants here, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that came up, and 2 here are doing really well. They're nice and big, and I planted these from seed. Usually here we plant them as bedding plants, so they already are around this size when you plant them, but I planted them from seed, so I didn't know how they would do, and they're actually doing a lot better than I thought they would. And then the last 2 things I have in here are parsley Right here I've got a parsley plant, and then beside that I have cilantro. So just the two herb plants in here. And then the other area I have over here, right beside our shed here, this is just a regular tree that I pruned back. But I have in here Saskatoon berries, but I only have one tree. I've got rhubarb down there, and there's also raspberries coming through. And I cannot decide, this was all here when we got here, and I can't decide kind of what to do. This rhubarb plant is kind of encroaching on the Saskatoon berry bush. So I'm probably going to end up having to move something. I'm tempted to cut down the Saskatoon plant and just let the raspberries grow and then move the rhubarb somewhere else, because I've only got one Saskatoon tree and I prefer rhubarb, and I much prefer raspberries personally to Saskatoon berries. So you guys can let me know what you think I should do, because I'm not quite sure what I'm thinking I'm going to do with that. So that's everything I have for you guys today. I will try and keep you updated here, you know, as the weeks go on, and kind of let you know how things are going. So thanks so much for watching, and have a great day. Bye.